374 Your father is a monster. This word just came out. Shout out loud what you just said. Who do you want to find? To hard words look at him. I don't care to repeat a certain name. No, I don't mean what you are. Strictly not out. Swallow a gulp of saliva and ask. Frown softly. The little comedian casually said, My father is so. The butler is your father. A little startled, he looked at the little boy who opened his mouth. The butler has such a big son. Why didn't you hear him say that? Two kids raised their heads thinking. I finally found a good reason. He looked at me and said, Maybe I didn't have time to tell the caretakers. We've only recently gotten married, though. I look at you and wonder, you are my own son. Slowly nod to understand the idea. Strictly goes to rub head small comedian. Said with a gentle smile. Your little friend is here. Wait a minute. I will call your father immediately. The two girls softly raised their eyebrows, hit one in the hand of a stern angry. Most often I hate people touching my head. If you do not respect your face, you are my father's. Your father will soon throw you into the wild. Then, under the atmosphere of the serious comedian, I can't help but take a few steps back. Afraid to look at it. A young child who was so cruel. I want to take people's lives. You two are so similar. Suddenly I thought of the news he had just heard. Not out of thought. This is the big news. The son of the greatest butler. I found it at home. He must go back to the newspaper. Not long after, a group of elders of the lost, hearing such shocking news, go to the front door of Black Mountain. But they actually saw a 6 to 7-year-old comedian standing there in amazement screaming something. You probably own your own child. The Aunt Serum looks at the baby, smile and say AIA. I did not expect the son of the butler track to on my so. I like to think that her mother is a beautiful woman. It's ordinary shit. Immediately face. She really didn't expect. The most ordinary outside is not only rich love. There are so many women. They now have their own children outside. Think about it. He walked up to the little comedian and laughed softly. Your father is really a great butler. We are lost. Do you ever get the name wrong? That's why the comedian heard this. He chilled at her. This kid is disrespectful. Peeing like humans will confuse Sao. This time the family came to find my father. Don't get in my way. Lead me to find my father. Is that feces are often startled? She was called by a child. The face is a little ugly, crying and laughing. The elders look at this. Can't help but laugh. Seriously, I don't stop complaining. This child is young. But there's you walking around. He is as arrogant as a butler. The future is also a talent. Look out for our lost family. You don't have to worry about inheriting it. Ha ha ha. Seriously, he's right. I think this kid is smart. Later personally fostered by the butler track. Our lost family. It's not even the back wave pushing the front wave. A life stronger than a life. State domination. You can also listen to that. Next to the comedian. Head said, "Call the end table." The result is, people kept going to rub the comedian's head. Excited. But they don't look at. The boy's face was crying right now. Consider a form that wanted to explode. Wait until the sheep arrive. He didn't even wait for him to hit his hand. I was angry and yelled at you. Don't touch the family's head. Take the family to see my father. He's married. Not as old as your father. Smiling for an hour. Sheep inflammation high hand rubbed the head of the little comedian laughed. It is a shame you don't have the same talent as your father. No matter what I touch your head, what can you do to me? I can't tickle your father. I can't tickle you. The sheep laughed softly for an hour. The little comedian's face couldn't help but sink. 2 eyes full of anger. The ant serpent saw this. He opened his mouth to make fun of the devil, who was a child. Stop teasing him. Be careful. His father knows we raped his son like that. To trouble us. Ha ha, what are you afraid of? The butler must be in rehab. Not getting out so early. Children's memories are like fish. After a day I forgot. I won't hold such a grudge. I'm right, little devil. The sheep laughed for an hour. He looked at the little boy. The 2 of them smiled coldly. That's right. My memory is not good because it is. The family immediately reported. The voice just stopped. A crisp sound echoed. Little comedian grabs the arm of sheep inflammation high. You can't make him want to get out. The little comedian is not fast or slow to swing his hands. The sheep were immediately thrown away. Aggressive fall on the ground. People look through. Where the sheep were beaten. It made a big hole. That 9 high inflammation cannot help but spit out a large sip. I looked at the sheep on the ground. Disdain boo bad lips. Let you touch my head. If you're not a homesick, you are a servant of my father. I've already painted this old skeleton of yours. When people saw this scene, they immediately fell into a panic. Child 6 to 7 years old was able to defeat the prodigy. The tiger is the son of the strongest. To your father is not normal. They're all monsters, and this child is worse than his father. Right now the comedian is impatient to get people to stop the arrogant one from speaking up. Don't be shy anymore. Take me to see my father. No one dared to argue this time. After little comedian beat sheep inflammation high, injury full of me, no one dares to speak out anymore. Like right now, the 4 ghosts of the 4 demons appear. Looking at the usual confused people or asking, what happened earlier? There was such a big movement outside the battle. The corner of my mouth dropped unconsciously. People are laughing and saying this. God's will is to follow everyone's eyes. I see the little comedian in front of me. The face is immediately white. Unbeatable copper antique 3 pine. Why did you chase me here? When I heard the name of the 3, I was immediately terrified. That little monster. He won't even ignore us. See this situation, people are immediately amazed. With the power of the sky. I saw this guy 7 times. Even the first 4 are scared. What is the fate of this little comedian? That's what makes these guys look like. Is that feces are often awkward? Turn your mouth to the heavens. I asked him how he knew this child. In the eyes turn on the sense of contraction. The monstrous good prayer looking at the miscellaneous often said, "Baby." The woman in front of him is a child. He's the oldest of us. 300 years ago, the AI universe could fight back. It is now the strongest guard. Royal 7 undefeated good old Copper 3 Pine. Even if we put it together, he is not the opponent of this boy. Just set out. People are more afraid. Who can think of a cute little comedian? Terror is like that. Sheep inflammation, see mouth full of bitterness. Look at her 3 wise men. I know this guy is so cool. Even if I beat him to death, I dare not tease him. And yet the confusion is often unbelievable. Eyes full of darkness, but he's not a good boy. It may be more than 300 years old. You heard the AI say he's the son of Zach. I can't help but look at everyone when they ask. He said it himself. People point their hands at the neck 3 times. Say the same. She 3 arrogant Pine nodding frantically replied yes. Where is my father taking me to see him? What? When the Lord heard this, he shouted with horror. Accepted 375 half-day hesitations. Doubt appeared in his eyes. Hold your head here, wait a moment, I will announce. Then rush inside. Something comes back very quickly, looking at the neck 3 more bizarre. The manager told everyone and the little boy came in. Is the one who announces, the news is acknowledged by the most evil mouth. God's grace can be trusted at this time. He is truly the son of the greatest. If this goes out, no one can believe it. A great master like that of the 3 Long Pine. The most powerful guardian of the universe. Most people can be fooled into being their own child. Of course, the cowman trick. It is true that only a miracle like this can be created. Just set out. In everyone's heart, there's finally some funny news in front of you. Of course, it is the son of the greatest. If not, the sky is also called a little boy. Right after that, everyone follows each other into the hall of the lost family. In that place, most likely, he sat in the waiting position. I can't help but laugh out loud at the sight of 3 Pine. The 3 boys have not seen you for too long. I think I just saw the best. Immediately yelled out into his lap. They both hugged each other and laughed. But the neck 3 Pine. I just looked at the lost arm of the most evil. Immediately in amazement cried out, Father, where's your right hand? Who makes me avenge you? Gently shaking his head. The worst of all, no need to refuse. We'll handle this ourselves. Yes, I came here today. You're not just visiting me, are you? Ancient 3 Pine Muse a match. Tell the truth. I have come to give instructions to the lost family. Due to the outstanding expression of the peanut in the 100 families of men. 3 months later, I went to the Empire to defend the 8th world. 100 celestial families also came to see. At that time, the leaders of the great families were all key Tuesday in the imperial capital. Congratulations on the victory. Hear this word. People are immediately terrified. I can't believe 7 is acting so fast. Probably the most gentle eye. Think for a little laugh for an hour. Ha 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 ha. So I know. I sent my 3 sons to deliver the message. Right. How have you been eating recently after returning to the palace? 3 pine necks are still excited. For being most certainly praised. When you hear this, put your face down. Please tell me to don't mention it. Those people are too tall. Give me only the most medicinal to products. Since the last time I ate high-grade medicine, you gave me those low-grade drugs. You eat like wax now. Stay with me for a few more days and enjoy. Probably laughing at him. Then take from the world just one 8 drug. Take it to him. She just saw this. Both eyes are bright. 8 medicinal products for. Give me something. Of course, my stuff is yours. Probably laughing at him. Not stingy, nodding. Stand up from a distance, most definitely seen. Do not hesitate to take out such precious medicinal herbs. Cry no tears. It's an 8 drug. To practice the art of knitting, but most definitely teach them to practice. Maybe you can learn to knit 9 drugs. It is a pity to give it to others. Right now. Most likely, he looked at me seriously. My son has to be here for a few days. He likes to eat raw medicine. 3 meals a day he prepared enough for it. Every meal he prepared fully for it. Each meal must contain at least 1 ingredient in 6 products. Know what? This word has become even more heartbreaking. His medicine is like that. You have to give it to no one else. He did not dare to disobey orders. He hurriedly bowed his head to the butler. The best father she heard could stay with her. Most people can eat medicine. Glad to shout. Most likely, he smiled and laughed. Then suddenly I was serious. All right. There's something I have to tell you. Maybe you'll agree to this, but we have to. We have to use the feet of that unicorn pulse. I can't help but look at him. Antique 3 Pine Bazaar look. Why? What's in your eyes? Just a little bit of a deep breath. In the eyes condensed calmly tell us. That's very important to me. I don't want to use it either. But now because of this arm, we can't help but use it. If you run out of ways, or I now steal that unicorn's leg from my hand, or accept this, in my hatred forever. Of course most people know. That unicorn leg is very important to the neck. It can even be said to be precious. If you don't say no, use it. Maybe I'll be hated by her for the rest of my life. But the situation forces him to use it. I can only make one bet this time. He is under the influence of the first woman who knows how to reward. 3 Pines for a while. I haven't spoken for a long time. He finally lifted his head and looked ahead. The most heavy said, that unicorn leg. Khan absolutely will not let others arbitrarily move where. This word is most likely to go down very quickly. Of course not. But at this point, the 3 are talking again. But it doesn't matter if I'm you. As before, what you say is yours too. It doesn't matter. Ha ha ha, good boy. Probably most excited to laugh. Old Knight 3 Pine hugged tightly in my lap. I can't help feeling lucky in my heart. I was lucky to avoid conflict. Your father later used a number of inducements. Use that potion to bind this child to the become the common good. Let it be profitable now. From a distance to see this. Not from feeling. This butler is really a god. Even the little saltfish monster doesn't eat this. Maybe they live in harmony, no different to your father, really. The ant serpent next to him also nodded. Later this monster-father duo teamed up. Roamed the celestial empire. Who can fight them? Going to the beach was the right choice. A memorial to the old year. The most likely to come here. Silently feel lucky. I often see such a happy scene. In his eyes came a ray of joy. This moment. Most likely the world is not alone anymore. She is really happy for you. Finally, half a month later, the 3-year-old has finally come back. Emperor subdued destiny, even though I don't want him to go back. But most certainly right now, standing in front of the black wind paint parting. Neck 3, I can't wait to look at the most beautiful. Your father's gone. Smiling the most, he looked at him. Look at the back of the neck. Strictly finally breathed a sigh of relief. This ancestor is finally gone, and he's not even going. Medicine like a mountain is not enough to feed it. Wait until she's gone. Most likely the world turned to the solemn prayer. Said the old man, we've also come to the great lady's safe capital. They're counting on you. I won't go with you this time. With you I am assured. Tears of horror slightly nod their serious faces. The best of all smiles. Then chatter a few sentences. The wind led the people away. Most likely, the people of the lost family left for a long time. Finally rest assured. He turned his head and looked at the sheep. Let's go. Just for a moment. The worst of all led the people to the forest of fog. Turn your head to look at the people. Seriously say, I'm going to be in the closet for a while. No one can get in. In the range 6 Black Feng Sun. Everyone has the right to command together. Now the worst of the world has recovered. It's almost done, just waiting to heal. It's a broken right arm. It's that he can regain his power. Get out of pregnancy. This retreat is very important. He must succeed. Not 7 failures. Except 376 chemical unicorn. Probably the most complete arrangement. Finally safe to go into the thick fog. People also divide the guard. Around Black Feng Sun. Into an empty area. Probably the most appreciated around. Slowly nodding the battle layout. Waiting for the battle to be over. In the most evil hand in the flickering hand. Appearance Lingy. Then fly back to the front. For an hour. The unicorn's legs also appeared. Inside the French. Fortunately, the worst detection of emulsification in Wang Sun. Otherwise, it's really hard to get this giant unicorn's legs. Turn into the right arm. Actually, since the discovery of the emulsion. He already had this thought. But because it's too dangerous to consider forever. But, after going through the battle with Hong Fu and Thien, there's not that much hesitation anymore. even if an arm is lost. I really want a hand like that forever. People are forced to the end. Take a risk. Think about here, most likely happy to take out the emulsion. Slowly coming right next to the unicorn's feet. He also went inside the battle. In hand constantly pressed the handle. Just for a moment, an earth-shattering sound echoed. The entire training ground emits the golden light. Straight to the horizon. Outside the Great War, the elders saw it and were immediately horrified. I don't know what the worst part of it is. That can make such a big move. Later in the war, unicorn feet emit bloodthirsty red. The great battle immediately fluttered, emit a haunting sound, the endless rumbling. But the milky ivory liquid doesn't stop. Towards the unicorn's feet pouring in. Take a breath in your eyes. Seize the moment. Hurry up and change your hand. Heaven and earth, the island, the unicorn, set up the capital. Everything is in harmony. God Tai Champ broken frame generalization. The voice has ended. Then I heard a sound. The center of the battle emits oscillations. The unicorn's entire leg also started to vibrate violently. Even one of these storms. That's created a whole circuit earthquake. The sheep saw this scene. Can't help but be afraid. For demons threatened to shout out loud. Running from all sides. It's falling, it's falling. Strictly the same as screaming. What does the butler want to do? I want to remove my house. Only the most sure-looking unicorn legs inside. The tremors gradually begin to shrink. Unconsciously agitated. Great training in these 9-6 secrets. It's a miracle. Even the body of the beast can be trained. This training is much bigger than last time. Don't know what's the cost of putting this thing on him. The softest eyes inhale, most reluctantly take a deep breath. Stare at the dark red unicorn's feet. It's constantly shrinking. Wait until you've zoomed out in the shape of an arm. I know the time has come. Then we'll go to the most important part. I hope it doesn't work. Even though Sao, the previous owner of this leg, was a unicorn. Think about here. Most likely, the world suddenly rushed into the training battle. Scream out loud for an hour. I love you. Suddenly at this moment a terrible scream was heard. It's like that year in the mountains. Just entered the war. I felt my whole body emitting lightning. It's like wanting to crumble. But this time was much more intense than the last. Probably the most unexpected dream. The war is now beginning to torture. His body now begins to crumble in pieces. Blood in the body begins to rise. Make your eyes open wide. Eyes hurt to bleed. However, he persisted in biting his teeth. Persistence not to shout. But right now, the pain is so great that I can't take it anymore. Screamed a sound echoing through the sky. The elders over here couldn't stop it either. Startled by fear, looking towards the forest of fog. Tell him seriously that this is. They are full of passion right now. Finally, what kind of perversion is this butler track practicing? Even the ghost of the ring can't hold it. Scream out. Inside the most likely battle. Blood disgrace vaguely splashed. He's floating in the air. It's like a dry skeleton. Endlessly shivering. The unicorn's feet now radiate a pale light. Fly towards the worst. begins to regenerate the ash body. Most likely the world is constantly feeling pain. Such suffering. It can't be compared to last time's training. This time it was like a mosquito bite. The whole world is broken. Blood's flying around, bodies starting to fuse. That's it. This exercise is also in its final stages. It's about to work. But it doesn't even suggest. Suddenly my head hurts as if to crack. It's like wanting to explode. The sound of the autumn. Deep inside the head. At this moment, you seem to feel it. In an instant he had 7 defeats and finally fainted. At the same time, unicorn blood suddenly appeared. Inside the moon is screaming. A mortal man. I also want to merge with my unicorn body. You don't even deserve it. But right now, a dragon's roar suddenly echoed. It's the land of the dragon's soul inside his body. Towards the coming unicorn. Unicorns don't notice either, just swing the claw. Kimlong was held in his hands. Disdain the cold. Even a small worm dared to compete with the great master. Want to die? Already said. It goes inside the most powerful spirit. They want to destroy. This human boy is so brave. Watch him destroy this god of yours. Let your soul fly. But this time it didn't work. In an instant, it wants to destroy the inflammatory bar in you. Most probably the world also manifests into the image of the ogre. To stop its attack. The surprised unicorn rolled his eyes and asked you in surprise. That's right, old friend. This boy is the old man who chose them. One day it will help us. If you are dead, it's better if this gas just dissipates. The voice has ended. Inflammatory bar immediately turns large in the blink of an eye to bring the unicorn of the pink light for a while to dissipate. In the same way as the inflammatory bar. Adopted 377 breakthrough. I don't know how long. Most likely the world is finally awake. The eyelids flickered with terror. Why is alive? He wasn't swallowed up by the unicorn's resentment. Maybe he really ignored me. But very quickly he was negative. It's impossible. If it's resentment, then just resentment. Even in a normal state of mind, there is nothing to agree with. If you think about it, look back. I saw the unicorn arm on my body. I screamed. I succeeded. I can't help but get up. Pick up your right arm to check. He actually carried the unicorn's leg. Training to be a unicorn. If you think about it, you have it. In the hands of Zenvu will sword when he meets the enemy again. Ha ha ha. Probably most likely laughing. I can't stop stepping on the ground. Suddenly flying straight into the sky. Not from stupidity. Surprise cried out. This is why I know how to show it. Feel the gas in your body. You can't avoid horror. That's a breakthrough. The real power was the sky. Dragon key body, dragon soul, father, mixed nature. Current body strength. Compared to the previous celestial spectrum. Only more, not less. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows deeply. Your blood comes out of your body immediately. To fly around. Outside the Great War, the elders are still keeping watch outside. For the most evil. Suddenly right now. A flash of red light suddenly flew by. So fast that one can see. The sheep felt something flying by. But I can't catch up on surprise. He looked at the snow and asked the old woman, "Did you feel anything before?" The face is a little unimportant. The ant serum can't hold. Swallow a sip of saliva. It looks like something flew by. But we can't detect it at all. The two men looked down at each other. The two of them were magic masters. But it didn't detect anything. It's definitely very harmful. Think and nod together. Enhanced alertness, high altitude. Ghost on the other side. The four demons are the same. The devil asked the old man a question. Is there anything going through? It's impossible not to have absolutely no. The devil shook his head in denial. Inside the great battle of blood you return. Probably the most popular smile. This time my blood is the same. At the same time breaking through the constraints of the celestial perspective, the current speed of your blood. Even the mental realm of the divine. Not keeping up. Frown satisfied. Most likely, he turned to the outside screaming. All the elders. To the forest of fog. Just heard this. The elders were startled. Looking towards the forest of fog. The butlers out of the house. Sheep inflammation high. And the ants at the same time glancing at each other. Without hesitation, head towards the foggy forest and run away. The devils for books are the same. Slow down, fast forward to the foggy forest. Just for a moment. All the lost elders. They're all focused on the forest. Probably from the inside out. Turn towards everyone nodding. He looked at his right arm. Everyone was horrified at the same time. This is the new arm. It doesn't seem any different than normal. And there was only one guy who broke through. Thunder 3 insect. It's a monster, of course. I don't know how to think in people's hearts. Most probably look at them laughing. How long have we been locked up? More than a month later, he immediately spoke. Slightly nodding. I am most likely pleased to say very well. I sent my demons earlier. To probe people's states. Everyone is so good this month. Do your duty of duty. Something that just flew in front of us. Is it the one who sent it? I can't help but be startled. The panic ant serum screeched. I can't believe looking at the surest side. What is that thing of yours? Why is the speed so fast? Haha, there are a lot of tricks. Slowly, you will understand. Unconsciously smiling mystically. Probably not even explained. For a long time he suddenly said seriously. As I observed earlier. Everyone's expression is very good. Elder Snow and Elder Sheep. Very alert. The old man is only the apex of heaven. At noon, the gods didn't find out. There was nothing. But what? He works in the knitting lab, and he's still very diligent. Just that. Please let the four little demons you sow. I told you to watch the battle. Do you play or play yourself? Tell me how Lao Tzu should send you. Arbitrarily leave the position. The body cannot shake. For people looked at each other unconsciously. How could they have suspected? Probably there's this kind of trick. You can see their actions again. While in retreat. Look at your movement. They knew they wanted to use blood. Cry no tears. The devil hurried to cry, "Please don't. Just don't punish them with silkworm blood."